Our customers wanted to go faster, so that led us down the aerodynamics route. The big pivot moment was signing on the dotted line and putting the funds down for that first autoclave. I never set out to become a managing director of a composites company. I wanted to be a race mechanic on Ferraris in Italy, but ultimately I was driven by cool cars, cool stuff, cool industries. But if you could deliver the same kind of program in 4 to 6 weeks in the defence world, you blow all your competitors out the water. In this day and age, we're a solutions provider. We're all fighting over the same great people that we have. If a part you've made and you've delivered on time is being used in a hospital somewhere to treat someone at a really terrible time of their life and hopefully extend that life, that's a real feel-good factor as well. We do like to do things differently.
Today I'm super excited. We had BAMD Composites here in the UK, first of our UK trip, and we are starting with an interview with Sam, then the MD. So thanks for having us. Yeah, let's start straight away. So
let's jump straight into it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, thanks a lot for the nice weather.
We try.
For welcoming us in a new facility. I mean, you will tell us how new it is and if BAMD is new or not. Let's see. To start with, could you share a few words about yourself, your background, and how did it happen that you ended up in composites?
Of course. Well, firstly, welcome to our fantastic facility here today. My name's Sam Hudson. I'm the managing director of BAMD Composites, based here just outside of Bicester in the UK. This is our 18,000 square foot composites manufacturing facility. We moved into here in 2023 after 3 years of blood, sweat and tears, with myself and the chairman putting a lot of effort into it. And it's ultimately the culmination of many years of hard work between myself and Adam BAMD, which all started when I became the company's first apprentice back in 2012.
Sure. So yeah, 2012, is that the year it started with BAMD Composites?
So BAMD itself actually started in 2009 when our current chairman, Adam BAMD, left university and decided to start a company. And BAMD itself was actually doing classic car restoration for a number of years, and it's what it was doing when I first joined the company in 2012. We did a few years of classic car restoration, then got into the motorsport world and started running race cars for a couple of our wealthy customers that we'd also restored cars for. Which went really well. We ran a couple of Lotuses, a couple of Ferraris, and then we was in a fairly open championship where we could work on the cars and we could develop parts. Our customers wanted to go faster, so that led us down the aerodynamics route, where we was looking at rear wings and front splitters and flat floors and things like that. But we couldn't buy any of it, so we looked to make it. So myself and Adam very much taught ourselves hands-on on the job through the very basics of composites, so wet lay, resin infusion, all the way up to out of autoclave pre-preg for making parts for those Ferraris back then. And then we realised actually we're making a bit more money making these parts and selling them to the team than we are packing a truck up and going racing every weekend. So in 2015 we purchased our first autoclave and we began the journey of becoming a fully fledged pre-preg manufacturer and pre-preg supplier and component supplier up to now.
Yeah, and so you grew really, I mean, from a two-man shop to a company. And how did you manage that growth, and were there big kind of pivot moments? And yeah, how did you manage it through now? Because it's quite some legacy you told us about.
I think the big pivot moment was signing on the dotted line and putting the funds down for that first autoclave. And it wasn't actually just the autoclave we purchased, so we purchased the full composites arm of a local manufacturing firm. So the clean room, the trim shop, a few members of staff came over as well. So that was a really big moment in us kind of having a seat at the UK composites table. We wanted a piece of the pie. We wanted to manufacture these components at the highest level, which was nerve-wracking to start off with, but we believed in ourselves and we believed that we had a place in the UK composites industry, and we've built upon that legacy and that ethos to where we are today.
And when you say, of course, it's nerve-wracking and it's kind of an adventure, how did you take it? And is it your first step into entrepreneurship? Did you have some background already in setting up a financial plan and kind of finding out money out of outside of your own account?
I would love to say we did it that way. I would love to say that that was the way we did it, but we didn't. No, I ultimately, what motivated me as a kid, as a teenager, and in my early 20s was motorsport. I wanted to play around with fast cars and expensive bits of kit. So in theory, every opportunity I've had within BAMD, I've never necessarily asked for. Adam's kind of given me the opportunity to spread my wings. So I never set out to become a managing director of a composites company. I wanted to be a race mechanic on Ferraris in Italy. So that was my passion. But I've always been driven by wanting to do the best we can. And if there was an opportunity where I thought we could offer a better service or we could deliver more to a customer, I've often gone out and found out whether we can, how we go about it, and figure out a plan to execute that. And that's what we've built the company on.
Cool. Yeah. So in this series, we have a lot of people driven by passion, obviously. So that led you from being at the front, being now in the supply chain for this industry, eventually other industries, and hope we will touch this point a bit later. But maybe coming back on the on the passion side. So now you have passion, obviously, for what you are doing. You are learning while doing, but then also you need to expand beyond being yourself and Adam doing cool stuff. So how do you set up a company on values? How do you find people? And maybe describe a bit the area where we are here around Silverstone and how this is a catalyst for what you're doing.
So I think there's some really interesting points there, and you mentioned location, and location is very very important to us and our industry. We're essentially in Motorsport Valley, but that's not necessarily where I'm from. I'm a South London boy at heart. So, but I wanted to move up here because if you wanted to do it properly and you wanted to really live it and get involved, you have to be around here.
Yeah.
And so there's a number of our competitors that are based around here. There's a number of our customers that are based around here, but you also touched on people. I think the value that we've never really lost, whether it's been 2 of us in a workshop or 35 in a workshop, is people. People buy from people. People work for people. People work with people. So it's always been a really important part of our mantra here: how we hire, how we work with our suppliers, how we work with our customers. But that's not always easy. It's not always easy finding the right person for the job that you need there and then. And even when you do, it's never usually the right time. So you have to manage that as well. Which brings us on to a training academy, which we can go on to a little bit later. But ultimately, passion-wise, I was driven by cool cars, cool stuff, cool industries, and now I'm lucky enough that we serve a lot of those industries. Mainly motorsport and automotive, but now we're also in the defence and the medical side of things as well. So my passion is ultimately just doing the best job we can. And I think once you identify that in each of those sectors, once you identify how you can make your customer's life easier, the business bit becomes very easy.
Okay, we like to hear that becomes easy. But on the industry, so you mentioned obviously your legacy is in motorsports. Now you are obviously exploring and already delivering in new industries. You mentioned defense, medical. What is a common trait, or what kind of industries would you target with your capabilities currently at BAMD Composites?
Capabilities, we've seen an influx. Well, the industries that we're targeting at the moment is obviously the defence side of things. Because it's a big part of what's going on in the world at the moment. But equally, we can deliver very quickly in comparison to legacy defence suppliers. So a casual or a very easy time frame for a part, for example, in motorsport could be 4 to 6 weeks. But if you could deliver the same kind of program in 4 to 6 weeks in the defence world, you blow all your competitors out the water. No pun intended, but you really do blow them away, because that's the way they've been doing things for year on year. So I think we've managed to diversify very well by tapping into what's important to the customer. So is it cost? Is it lead time? Is it quality? And each of those industry has a different golden kind of thing that they're after. But once you find that out, then yeah, you just have to look into how you can deliver that and how you can consistently deliver it, so that you become an established supplier for years to come, not just a one project wonder.
Yeah. And in automotive, I suppose you had great network, or you have great networks, which brings you business. In these new industries, do you now have to proactively go after some opportunities? And how do you change the structure of the company to do these proactive reach outs versus these inbounds, which were more network related?
You're right. A lot of the motorsport and automotive work we get is from repeat customers that we've been working with for years now. We still have to work hard for those. We still have to make sure that they are getting the service that we promise, and that they are consistently looking at us to solve their solutions, rather than maybe the new kids on the block, maybe like what we were 10, 15 years ago. But the new industries that we're looking at is a lot more around new business. So we're probably putting more time into new business and new sales than we've ever done. Mainly because the facility's here bigger, so we need more work to continue to execute the strategy that we're working towards. But ultimately, the defence industry, for example, it's a much close-knit community. So you need to position yourselves in front of people. You need to be visiting trade shows. You need to be on LinkedIn talking to the right buyers, because one, the industry is vast. So if you're supporting one buyer on one project, it doesn't mean that you're going to be their top supplier. It's just that you're helping that person procure that one part of the puzzle. But yeah, you need to be in front of the customer, and you need to be demonstrating your capabilities. The facility helps. So our facility here really helps and showcase that we can deal with large structures. We can host meetings of 10, 12, 15 members of a project if we need to. But yeah, you really need to ultimately deliver on what you say you're going to deliver, and that's where it comes back to the mantra of people buy from people. I think when we say we're going to do something here, we do it.
Yeah, and you mentioned several times the word service. So for me, from the outside, it looked like, oh, you're a manufacturing company. And then you spoke about you have now a training center, an academy program. So how would you position the company? Are you purely manufacturing? Are you going beyond that?
In this day and age, we're a solutions provider. Now, we take our customers' problems and we find solutions for them. In the past, we've been just a build-to-print supplier. So if someone wants a front bumper for a GT3 car and they come with a drawing and a set of molds, of course we can make it. But now what we found, probably since COVID times, is that the information coming out of the customers is maybe not to the same level that it used to be. So you have to maybe work a bit harder in filling the blanks and find out what the customers really want. But ultimately, we make a lot of money, and we really sell ourselves on our value add. How can we help the buyer? How can we help the customer? Just delivering a part to a front door, it fulfills a line on the PO, of course, but it's not going to win you the next big project. Whereas if we can connect our trusted supply chain together to maybe deliver at a higher assembly level, so line side, or we can deliver a fully painted, fully finished, fully assembled component to a customer, which negates the need for them to set up a production line or to maybe overstretch their capacity. That's where we're starting to really find our feet and really see a lot of business in how we can make ultimately our customers' lives easier. So I think that's what I mean by the service side of thing to the customer. Service to our industry, yeah, you mentioned it. Our training academy, it's a project me and Adam pulled together pretty quickly in 6 months, and it ultimately come from a need for people, for good people. We're in a great part of the UK in terms of Motorsport Valley, which is great for the technology and the innovation that's going on here. But we're all fighting over the same stuff. We're all fighting over the same great people that we have. So there's not enough to go around. So what we put together is a training academy, and it's not a training academy like other composites companies have done, where they just take on a few people and buddy them up with a supervisor. We've built a dedicated space. We've hired a dedicated training manager, and we're ultimately training 8 individuals at the moment to manufacture complex composite assemblies the way we want them to learn, using our ply books, our information, our processing systems, so that we can ultimately really bolster our capacity, hopefully quite quickly. And we've already seen some parts come out of there that are really impressive.
And you mentioned that you are training people for yourself to basically as a growth engine for the company, because I assume that's one bottleneck when you are growing a company. But how do you see that in the future? So obviously you are training these young
100%.
people.
I think for
But
years
then you also
the traditional composites industry
post-COVID or
has been
around
very
COVID,
closed
you
and
have
very
the
secretive,
feeling
that
when
one
you
composites
speak
company
with some
can't talk to
customers,
another, and you can't
you
find out
get
their
maybe
processes
less detailed
because
information. You have to
might
ask
steal them.
questions to
But
really
ultimately,
understand
the
what do
process
they
is very
need
similar
and what do you
between
need
a lot
basically to
of
provide them.
our competitors
Do you
and
see
our
a
supply chain as
potential
well.
to
We
also
outsource to
eventually
5 other
bring
composites
some
companies in the
customers,
UK
some
to
staff
manage our
from the
peaks and
customers
troughs of
into your
capacity
academy,
constraints.
so that you get
But we're
also
all
better
ultimately making the
information, you
same kind
work
of
better,
components from the
faster
same kind
on
of
new
material.
projects with them?
So from a service to our customers point of view, is we want to train. We want to train not just staff for us, but we want to train our customers' staff as well. So there's a number of customers that we're working with at the moment that are setting up in parts of the UK that aren't as lucky to have the kind of staff around that we are here in Motorsport Valley. And so we're working on a few projects where we're making R&D components at the moment that will ultimately go into production. But ultimately, the production side of things will be taken on with staff that are trained here. So the staff will come down to us. They'll be trained on the customer's tools with our work instructions. We're supplying the kit, all the inserts, the full BOM to make that component. With the staff, we'll do that for 4 to 6 weeks. Then those members of staff will go back to wherever the customer is based, and we'll start on another set of components with another set of staff. So the customer can grow their workforce, but it's done through a service that has learnt about all their components, learnt the hard way on how to manufacture things, so that the customer doesn't have to repeat the learning. And we're doing that with 2 customers at the moment in 2 very different industries. So that's really exciting that there's other like-minded businesses out there that do want to take a different approach to just phoning a recruiter up and saying that I need 30 staff next week to set up a production line. It's refreshing to feel that people are open to doing things differently.
So it really goes into co-creation ultimately, where you cross-pollinate. And as you said, I mean, it's beyond the automotive, which is legacy here in Motorsport Valley, but it's obviously going into new segments. Mm-hmm. You said medical and then defense, obviously. Aero might be in some segments, but I understand the common trait between those industries are also the volumes in a certain way. Your capacities, they're really well suited for certain volumes, and that's where you see your pockets of opportunities.
I think not necessarily, not 100%. So it's different. Let's take automotive motorsport, for example. You mentioned we're in the heart of it here in the UK. Motorsport wise, it's all very about cost and lead time. So how fast can you make it and how cheap can it be? Because you could plumb 3 GT3s into turn 1 and they could all end up into the wall. So therefore, that's the cost element, is that there's an opportunity here that this part isn't going to last forever. So we know how to deliver at that level. But if you then start to show your capabilities to someone like the medical, or show your quality capabilities to someone like the medical sector, and you say, look, actually everything's inspected, 100% inspection, we can do whichever process that you require, and we can still deliver it quite quickly, that's where you really do set yourself apart from legacy suppliers in that industry. And we've got one customer at the moment in the medical sector, which is, it's a personal favourite of mine because it gives you the feel-good factor. So ultimately, yeah, we all want to see our parts go around the circuit on a Sunday and win a race, or win Dakar, or win Le Mans, or the big milestones. But equally, from a medical point of view, if a part you've made and you've delivered on time is being used in a hospital somewhere to treat someone at a really terrible time of their life, but it can give them the best possible treatment and hopefully extend that life, that's a real feel-good factor as well. And we've got a great mix of the both here. But one of our medical customers trusts us, and it's a relationship we've had for 5-6 years now, where we supply all the components to an assembly. We fully build the assembly up here, so 100% bolt in every hole approach. So it's fully built, then it's fully packed down into a crate, and that crate doesn't get delivered to the customer's warehouse and supply chain, but they trust us enough that gets delivered straight to the hospital it's going to get installed in. So that kind of goes back to me saying, what did we need to find out from that customer? What solution or what problem did we need to solve? And they ultimately didn't want to move this rather large crate halfway around the world. So we built that solution up, and that's where we've solved the problem for the customer, kept the customer happy, and ultimately kept 6 years worth of business here. So that's I think that's a really good example that I and the team here at BAMD are really proud of.
Yeah, so building happiness and trust is essential, whatever the industry at the end. Huh?
It is, but ultimately it's finding out what can you overcome for the customer. So like I say, the motorsport, the automotive world is usually lead time and cost. Medical world, it's quality, because time that a machine is down in a hospital is patients that aren't getting treated. So that is something that is non-negotiable. But the defence world is probably a little bit of both in terms of quality, much more about the supply chain that's going into the components. We need to know where everything's coming from, and that those suppliers are trusted, and those suppliers can deliver on time. So ultimately, yeah, from a defence point of view, I think what we're looking for and what we've learned is that if you can build a robust supply chain and you become a robust supplier, that we do deliver every week when we say we're going to. That's what we're starting to find is really important to that sector. So I think we've got a lot of the sectors figured out, but every day is a school day, so we're always learning about the next new customer that wants to push a bit more on us as a supplier, and that's where we're open arms. We like to have conversations around the table about how can we make your life easier, and how can we do business together, which I think is a really new school approach, but it's the way we like to do things here at BAMD.
Oh, very interesting, Sam. And let's jump into the future. What is the most exciting for you now in the next few years in stepping up the company, obviously growing it, but also in general within the composites ecosystem or beyond? What is the most exciting for you as a passionate man steering a company?
I think for me, the training academy is really exciting, because I don't think anyone out there is doing it to the scale that we're doing it, and we're treating this year as not just an exercise, but it's a blueprint. So if we get it right this year, we can ultimately take on another 8-10 trainees at the same time next year. We still have space to expand here across the mezzanine, so we could potentially build a third clean room, but really grow it, because I think that's a part of our industry, both from internal and external. So looking from the outside in, a lot of people don't really know this could be a job. You could be a skilled trimmer or a skilled laminator. A lot of people don't know that is a job that's available with no training, and that you can start making cool parts that could end up on Formula 1 cars or hypercars, or some really interesting defence applications. So that's my passion at the moment, is bringing new people into the industry that's been quite secretive for for years. But ultimately, from a business point of view, it's showing new customers what we can do and the way we like to do things. So you mentioned about our facility here. It's not your traditional industrial unit prefab kind of that a lot of people have. It's a converted old Cold War aircraft hangar. I've nicknamed it kind of our James Bond manufacturing layer because it feels a lot like that when you drive up to the big concrete gates. And that, I think, gives you a flavour just from your first impression here of what we're about and how we like to do things. We do like to do things differently. So, yeah, to go back to your question, what spurs me on for the future is showing people that there's companies out there like us, bringing it to new industries and to new applications, maybe to customers that have trialed composite components on a project before, but it hasn't worked, or the supplier hasn't been great, or it hasn't kind of come off for whatever reason. It's about challenging that and just asking the question: what do we do wrong? What can we have another go at it? Where does it need to be? So yeah, no, communication from my side is what drives a lot of my decisions, and I think what keeps a lot of customers coming back to us.
I mean, thank you, Sam, for all these insights. Eventually, a few last words, how to reach out to you, what is the best channel if somebody wants to learn more about you, wants to come with some projects, challenges.
So we've worked hard on our website recently to basically showcase the training academy. So there's a really interesting careers page on there. So if you're looking to get into the industry and be taught how to make really cool components for really cool applications, then reach out on there. You can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn for more kind of project-based kind of discussions. But yeah, we're growing our kind of our base of how you can reach out to us. But LinkedIn and a website are the ones to go to.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sam. And we are looking forward to visit the factory and share that with all the followers.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thank you.